Welcome back to Z-Speed, and thanks for tuning back in. Today we're going to change out the PCV valve on a 10th Gen Civic Si. So if you're interested in that, just stay tuned. Now, the good news about replacing the PCV valve on this 10th Gen Civic Si is that it's very easy to access. You can see right here, it's on the back side of the valve cover. You can't miss it. It's that bright yellow thing right there with the 110mm bolt holding it in. You can see it's right in front of my aftermarket catch can, or if you want to look at it from the front view of the engine, it's on the far left spark plug. On the passenger side here, it's in line with that one right there. So it's not going to be very hard at all to break that loose and pull it out and replace it. So this should be a fairly simple procedure. Now, Honda recommends that you change this PCV valve out between every 36 to 60,000 miles. And you really want to stay on top of that, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. So let's go ahead and get started. So I've decided to use a 10mm mountain wrench. I don't know if you've ever heard of these before. I'll leave a link below, but these are some great wrenches. They get in some pretty tight places, and they have a little swivel to them, so they're really useful in a lot of situations. And I was able to easily break this bolt loose here. The only thing that's getting in my way here is this little wire harness, but you know, you can work around that. And just make sure that you don't lose this bolt. It's not like any standard 10mm bolt. It's a specialty bolt, so you'd be hard to replace this. You probably have to get this from Honda if you were to lose it. So make sure you hang on to it. You can see it's got a little bit of a spacer on the end of it there that fit into the PCV valve itself. So now we're going to kind of have to twist this thing to break it loose. So this might be a two-handed job, and I tried it with one hand at first and I wasn't able to do it, so I'm going to have to get both hands in on here. So once I got my other hand in there, it made it a lot easier for me to pop this PCV valve loose, and then now we're just going to slide it back, and then we can lift it straight up and out of this area here. Just try not to get any oil on there, all your hoses, but you can see I've got quite a bit of oil varnishing on this PCV valve. This thing looks to be a little bit older than the 36 to 60,000 miles that this thing's recommended to be changed out. Compare this to the new one. You can see a lot of varnish in here. I'm assuming at this point maybe this thing's never been changed. I've got approximately 104,000 miles on this car, so I'll be for sure changing this out every 36,000 miles from now on, just to make sure that I stay on top of this. You don't want this valve to get dirty and clogged and stick open or closed. So you can see the big difference between the new one and the old one here. So if you're wondering what it looks like with the PCV valve removed, you can see that open hole right there. That's what we'll be reinserting our new PCV valve here. So it's really simple to go back in the same way you came out. So you can see I went in through the side here, and the angle is no good, way too sharp there. So make sure you go back in the exact same way you came out here, drop it in from the top here, and you'll have no problems at all. So once you get it lined up, just place the PCV valve all the way into the hole, and there is a gasket on the very end here, and once you get it down to the gasket area, you're going to want to just push it in with a moderate amount of pressure here, and it should snap into position. So you can see that little gasket right there at the very end. Now all you want to do at this point, now that it's seated, is just pop it in. It should make a clicking sound like that, and now you can go ahead and line up your bolt hole. Now at this point, the PCV valve should not move at all. It should be nice and snug and stuck into the valve cover at this point. So now I'm going to go ahead and hand thread this 10mm bolt right back in to the PCV valve, and then I'm going to grab my mountain wrench and I'm going to go ahead and snug it up. I don't have the exact torque specs, but it wouldn't be more than 10 to 15 foot-pounds. I wouldn't go too crazy on this because it's plastic on plastic, and you definitely don't want to damage your valve cover or this valve. So I'm just going to snug it up right here, and we're all done. So if you're wondering why it's so important to change this PCV valve out and make sure it's functioning correctly, it's because it manages your crankcase ventilation pressures inside your engine. If this valve were to get dirty and get stuck in the closed position, it could cause increased crankcase pressures and cause premature seal leakage in your engine. Valve cover and other seals might fail, and that's never good. If it were to be stuck in the open position, it could cause poor fuel economy and excess oil burning, and that's never good either. So definitely make sure you change this on regular intervals. And since this is a turbocharged engine versus a naturally aspirated engine, we tend to run higher pressure, especially at higher boost levels, and that could cause increased crankcase ventilation pressures. So if you're wondering what the part number is, I purchased mine from Honda, and here are the part numbers on the back. I believe it's the H1CO3 is the number you're looking for, either that or the barcode up on top. This is obviously made in Japan since it's from Honda. If you purchase one from Amazon, just make sure that you don't get a knockoff version because you want quality parts from Japan. So if this video helps you out, don't forget to give me a big old fat thumbs up, and until next time, you know what to do. Just keep on repairing.